Okay, welcome to Block 2, Fractions and Decimals, from 2.1. Our target for the day is I can convert fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. That's our goal for today. Last week we converted metric and standard units. This time we're converting between decimals and fractions. We know that the fraction bar is a way of showing division. We've talked about that before when we were doing order of operations. For example, 1/2 can be written as 1 divided by 2. Sometimes it is also helpful to write decimals as fractions. For example, you don't usually say I have 0.25 of a pizza. You say I have 1/4 of a pizza or 1/4 of a pizza. The place value of the last number in the decimal tells you which number to put in the denominator. So using our pizza example, 0.25 is 25 hundredths. So we'll put 100 in the denominator. Let's practice. Writing a fraction as a decimal. It's simple. To write a fraction as a decimal, all you have to do is divide the top by the bottom. Divide the numerator by the denominator. 1/2 is the same as 1 divided by 2. So if I was to type that into a calculator or do it regular math ways, 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. 0.5 is the same as 5/10. Writing a decimal as a fraction has a couple more steps, but it's still fairly simple. First, we determine the place value of the last number in the decimal. We remember how to say decimals in the proper form from the beginning of the year. Write a fraction using the decimal as the numerator and the place value as the denominator. Write the fraction in simplest form. Let's move on to examples. Convert the decimal to a fraction or a mixed number in its simplest form. A is 0.7. How do we say the decimal 0.7 in words? That's 7/10. Remember that the first place after the decimal point is tenths. Use the number in the decimal as the numerator of the fraction and the name of the place value as the denominator. So 7 goes on top and tenths, or 10, goes on the bottom. 7/10. Now, the next step is in our blue box slide was to simplify and make it in simplest form. However, 7/10 is already in simplest form as there are no common factors of 7 and 10. Part B, technically. 0.25. Oh, this is the example I gave earlier. So 0.25 in writing. How do we say this decimal? I just told you a minute ago, so you should remember. 25 hundredths. Remember that the second place past the decimal is hundredths. Use the number in the decimal as the numerator, so that would be 25, and use the name of the place value as the bottom number, hundredths. 25 hundredths, or 1/4, when we simplify it. Here's a different one, 6.2. Notice something? Yep, there's a whole number in this one. How do we say the decimal 6.2? Well, we say it's 6 and 2/10. So let's ignore the 6 for a moment and focus on the 2/10. Again, we're using the decimal as the top number and the place value as the bottom number, the denominator, 2/10. Now, we'll put the 6 in front of it and then simplify. 2/10 simplifies down to 1/5. The 6 is the whole number. We created a mixed number. When there is a whole number in front of the decimal, you made a mixed number. That's a fraction that has a whole number attached to it. That does not mean you're putting 6.2 as the numerator of your fraction. Do not put 6.2 on top of your fraction. There will be a video or two from Mrs. Fraser giving some extra examples showing you how to do those. And they will be in the notes assignment thing on Google Classroom. So watch those as well, especially as we did not give an example of going from fraction to decimal. Remember, that's just to divide the top by the bottom. And watch out for your assignments and exit quiz as well.